Hello, everyone. Pontificator here. Hey, I'm just on a live with a gentleman, and, of course, he's doing the same thing everyone else does that defends brokers. I don't hate all brokers. 95% of them, yes, they're useless. But it's important to understand something. He was on there, spewing the same normal broker defense rhetoric. Well, you don't have to haul lows for brokers. The contract's this. Well, I said, okay, dude. So he finally made a comment, and I said, okay, I'm going to call you out on that comment. Freight brokers are not allowed to have waivers in their contracts. So why do you think that's okay? Oh, well, it's 14.101 and it's 13.207 or something else he said. So he started talking about freight forwarders. I said, that's not what we're talking about. I said, read 14.101. So he read 14.101. And I said, okay, what does it say? It's literally between carriers, shippers, and brokers. So he goes into this extension. He said, well, you won't let me speak. You keep interrupting me. Well, it was going back and forth. So I said, okay, I will let you speak. So he read this other law that he was talking about. And when he got done, I said, okay, so you're trying to extend something that you think is permissible for freight forwarders because it somehow makes brokers into carriers, I think. But here's the deal. Everyone we deal with has a broker authority, not a freight forwarder authority, which is actually a separate authority issued by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So, why are you trying to pollute the definition of what they actually are in order to excuse their misdeeds? Makes no sense. It's just not right. Additionally, I asked him, I said, so what about the oath that they took to abide by all applicable rules and laws? And now they're violating those. We've already established that a freight forwarder is not a broker, so the law that you mentioned does not apply to brokers. The one that I mentioned, 14.101, absolutely does, because it specifically states carriers and shippers. It excludes any statement about brokers. That was not an accidental exclusion by Congress. They knew why they put that in. Why would they pass a law that says that 371.3 that says you have to share all information between all parties and then turn around and pass a law that says any party can put in a waiver? That's just a non-law. It's stupid. 371.3, transparency law, as we call it, was put in very specifically for a reason. It was studied. They looked at a problem. They wanted to prevent that problem. They argued it. They did an analysis on how it would affect the industry, how it would affect communities financially and everything else. And then they voted on it and they passed it. And it passed the Senate. So, I'm sorry. That's actually not completely true. It's a regulation. But in any case, the authority was granted to the FMCSA to continue this, which they did in 1980. This was long before the FMCSA ever existed. So Congress actually did pass the original version. However, fast forward to today. We still have 14.101 in the regulation that permits the shipper and the carrier to enter into any agreement that they want, because Congress understood in a direct business relationship, we don't want to handcuff anybody. The shipper that's actually paying for the transportation should be free to make whatever rules they want that the carrier's willing to agree with. And that's fine. We deal with some big Fortune 500 companies. They have contracts that are not waivable, but we're dealing directly with them. There's not a middle person in there telling us what we will do and won't do with them. And there are some contracts we came across and we said, guys, we can't abide by this. We can't agree to this. And they were actually willing to waive them for the service that we provide. So back to the point of this. He didn't have much to say after that, because the truth is, the law, the regulation rather, says what it says. The regulation that governs how freight brokers are supposed to conduct their business is very, very clear. They are not allowed to put waivers in. And it is time that the FMCSA force them to remove those waivers or suspend their authorities until they comply. Tell me if I'm wrong. Pontificator. I'm out of here. Thank you, guys.